Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday and it's the 2nd of September. We're now into September. I can hardly believe this. It seems such a long while ago since I had my last video, and I know it was only last Wednesday, but kind of so much has happened since then. I'm calling this Emotional Wednesday, but it really is about kind of getting over or coping with emotional pain and anxiety and stress. And of course, extremely, I'm just putting that one away. I've got wee things coming up on my screen there. So, and many of you may have known, if you were listening to the news, that we're actually back in sort of some lockdown restrictions in Glasgow. And of course, we can't visit each other's homes at the moment. So life is still very uncertain, and I thought I was going to be talking about this anyway, so it's very apt. And it's about emotional and psychological anxiety. But more than that, I thought I'd give some tips on how to cope. When life is uncertain, it's a bit like when bad things happen, it takes a while to cope with pain and feel safe. When you experience stressful events, of course, you lose your sense of security, and often you can feel helpless as well. Now, during these months of the pandemic, and now still not knowing if things will get better or when will things get back to some sense of normality, then many will struggle with stress and anxiety, and these feelings just won't seem to or don't seem to go away. The months of the pandemic and the ongoing uncertainty, and I think people are now getting extremely confused, or, what are they supposed to do? It's almost better, I think, sometimes if we're told there's a complete lockdown, everything's closed. But now we've got schools open, and that's a good thing. In fact, a lovely person, Nicola, posted something up this morning, and I was going to share it, might share it later, but we seem to be panicking all the children, and she was rightly so. I know she generalised, and we can't generalise when it's children. No two children, no two adults, no two humans are the same, but children are extremely resilient, and many, in a way, have been learning more things during lockdown than they have that they might learn in school. Hopefully they've been learning to be kind, to be grateful. There's a whole lot of other life lessons that can be learned that don't necessarily or aren't taught in schools. Now, so this ongoing uncertainty, I think it's traumatic for many, and as a traumatic experience often can involve threat to life or safety, and we have seen or we've heard and still receive news about deaths continuing. This leaves you feeling overwhelmed and can result in trauma, even if it doesn't involve physical harm to you or loved ones. It's not the circumstances that determine whether an event is traumatic. It's how you personally feel about the experience. If you're frightened or feel helpless, then you are more likely to be traumatised. Emotional and psychological trauma, just a few words about what causes emotional and psychological trauma. Now, it can be a one-time event. It could be an accident, an injury, or a violent attack, particularly if it's something that wasn't expected or even happened when you were a child. Causes which can be overlooked but cause emotional and psychological trauma are surgery or the death of a loved one, and I've experienced that, as many of you know, the breakup of a relationship. But for today's talk, I want to talk about the emotional and psychological trauma due to ongoing relentless stress, and it's repeated traumatic events, or it's almost as if repeated ones could be bullying, it can be domestic abuse, childhood neglect, struggling with life-threatening illness. But what we're experiencing now, I wanted to kind of just focus on that. The pandemic, this is causing deaths. There's deaths to some, but there's so much uncertainty. And when this is ongoing, there are many likely to be traumatised. And of course, I haven't gone into particular depth, but our doctors and our nurses, many, if not all of them, will suffer from a emotional and psychological trauma. Even when many of us haven't been directly involved in the pandemic or we've not lost a loved one, we've been bombarded with negative news in the media. And I've said this before and I repeat it again. If you constantly listen or watch the news, this negative news, then it will overwhelm you, and it overwhelms your nervous system and creates traumatic stress. Everyone, of course, reacts differently to trauma, and we react in different ways. Both our physical or our emotional way of reacting will be different. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to think, feel, react, or respond. So don't judge yourself, and certainly don't judge others as to how they respond. Just a wee word about what emotional and psychological, what are the symptoms? There's many. There's anxiety, fear, anger, irritability, mood swings, shock, denial, disbelief, confusion, difficulty in concentrating, guilt, shame, self-blame, withdrawing from others, feeling hopeless, feeling disconnected. So many, such a long list. And physical symptoms, of course, you can have them too with trauma. Insomnia, being unable to sleep, maybe nightmares, relentless tiredness, being startled easily, difficulty concentrating, your heartbeat increases, racing heartbeat, and you're kind of agitated and on edge. You can have aches and pains and muscle tension. These symptoms can last a few days or much longer. And even when you start to feel better, you can feel upset from time to time by painful memories or emotions. I've talked before about the loss of my son, a traumatic event, and the pain of this loss can be triggered by an anniversary, maybe the anniversary of his death, or a birthday, but more than that, maybe his graduation, but more than that, the smallest things. It can be a song, it can be music, it can be a smell, and these things can hit you even when you're just walking around the supermarket and you're suddenly back in that. The pain is overwhelming. And of course, if if these symptoms or any of these symptoms don't ease and you find you just can't move on from the event, then you may be suffering from PTSD, that's post-traumatic stress disorder. And I don't think we have truly seen the effects on all the doctors and nurses worldwide. Many of them, probably most of them or all of them, will suffer from PTSD. But can they take time off? Can they just decide, well, I've got this, I need 6 months off? What if they all decided to do that? We'd be left with no doctors and nurses. So we must really, it's a huge shout out to them and thank you for everything they do. Everyone in the emergency services. Of course, again, if you are suffering, you really need to seek professional help. Now, whether the natural or this traumatic event involves the death of a loved one, then you must cope with the loss. Obviously, the natural reaction is grief. That's natural to grieve. And you need to allow yourself time to grieve, to heal from the trauma. And that's where I'm saying if there's the doctors and nurses, where are they going to, or the emergency services? Where do they find time to heal from the trauma that they've been undergoing? Many will say you need to move on with your life. And I think, of course, I've talked before about, I don't like it being surviving. You're not surviving the loss of a loved one. To me, it's not surviving. You're not a victim either. Even to me, if you've maybe been there's been a violent attack or something, I like to use the word endure. I like to see myself as enduring every day in a different way and as positive as I can. As always, I want to give some tips on how to cope no matter the stress, the anxiety, or the trauma. And these have helped me and they continue to help me. And I'm like a broken record again. And I hope, you don't mind me kind of repeating things, because then hopefully they become your good habit. But I think exercise. Now, physical exercise is excellent, but I can't do a 10k run or the wild swimming or cycling round or climbing Munros up here, but I can do physical exercise. You don't need to do a marathon. 10 minutes exercise, even, well, we saw it with Captain Moore, didn't we? That just walking, doing anything that, in fact, exercises that are rhythmic are very, very good. These kind of exercises, now rhythmic exercises are swimming, running, dancing, and more than that, though, don't forget your mental exercises. It's why I designed and developed ABC. And people may think, oh, just it's ABC. It's so simple and so quick. It can't possibly be effective. But in fact, they are effective. And they're effective because they're mindfulness. I'm going to be doing the letting go of emotional pain meditation, the mindfulness meditation at the end. And the B, of course, is the breathing. Breathing is absolutely fabulous because it helps you. You've got to focus on your breathing. It distracts yourself from your thoughts. And of course, at the same time, with the creative visualization, the imagination, you send love and peace to any part of your body, anywhere that you're hurting, and it really helps reduce the pain. And I mean, part of me, my enduring in life, I would like to think that I'm honouring the loss of a loved one by being more positive and knowing if a loved one has suffered, whether it's been a long-term illness or the mental illness that they've decided life is too much for them, then they're out of pain. Don't isolate yourself. Now, this is a difficult one because we've had the pandemic and we've been told in lockdown, and many people have been isolated. But some people actually are quite comfortable at being alone. It's not being lonely, it's to be comfortable with yourself. And you may want to be alone, and that's okay. But I think it's just don't completely isolate yourself from others. But always try and have positive people around you. I know that's difficult, talked about that before, but take yourself off. Where have I always said, take yourself off to the bathroom. If you're living with someone that's really negative, then just take yourself off there and just bring think of yourself, deep breathing, and just, I am positive, and kind of try and let these negative people go because they impact on your thoughts. And don't watch the negative news. Don't constantly watch that. You want to try and maintain a healthy relationship with people that are close to you, trusted friends, but also you need a healthy relationship with yourself. Now, if you've suffered a trauma, you don't need to talk about it, or talk about the loss of your loved one unless you want to. Some people find it makes things worse. I don't know why. It's everybody is different, but I found it helped, and it still does help me to talk about my son. He's there, he's with me. I feel him sometimes sitting on my shoulder, almost behind me, going, well, I wouldn't be doing that, or I wouldn't write it that way, I wouldn't talk about it this way. But he's probably on my shoulder now saying, are you sure you're saying the right things, the correct things? But other people who don't want to talk about it, that's fine. I found that it seemed to give comfort to others that I was able to talk about him. So I spoke his name, Bruce, first, and then that meant that others felt comfortable perhaps about talking about him too. So it seemed to just help others know that it's okay for them to say his name or talk about them. I mean, I felt obviously you can join support groups, and I did try that. It just wasn't for me. I found that, sadly, some of the people in the support group, that was the only place they could talk about a loved one. I thought that was so, so sad. In fact, I remember one lady, I think I've said this before, but one lady said that the day her son died, her husband said, "I don't want his name to be mentioned again." Now, how sad is that? Absolutely awful. I felt like saying, well, I would have packed my husband's bags and sent him packing. But each people, we have to deal with it in our own way. And the support group was good for her. It's where she could talk about her son. And of course, remember, it's always okay to ask for support, join a support group, try to find one. I think you've got to try and find one that's positive. There are many support groups on Facebook, and sometimes I look at them and I think people are tending maybe to live in the past. It's a lot of negative, and I try and bring something constructive or positive if I've got to say something. So again, I say I don't see myself as a survivor. Surviving to me assumes that you're kind of getting over something or you're overcoming something. I don't think you do overcome the loss of your loved one. I think it's, to me, it's just enduring. I endure each day in a different way. And remember, I say it again, don't be afraid to seek professional help. And I talk about my experiences in my book, The Weight of Emptiness, Comfort and Hope for the Loss of a Loved One. Some wonderfully shared stories in that as well, heartrending, and people who have, I was honoured and privileged to include these, and thank a huge shout out to the many who have bought my book. And I just hope it helps, because I included tips on how I've coped and how you can. I mean, it's like I'm hoping that helping others might help. But remember, you've got to take care of yourself before you can help others. I remember when my son was, he's had many experiences in life, and I said, look, you'd absolutely really be helpful to others. And words of wisdom from him, he said, Mum, I've got to take care of myself and know myself before I can then go and help others. Another reminder of why you should use my ABC to help you cope. These exercises self-regulate your nervous system, particularly the B, the breathing. This calms, it's the deep breathing, remember, so it calms and it energizes. It seems a bit of an anomaly there, but you're taking time, you're breathing in, so you're slowing yourself down, but you're oxygenating the blood, so you're giving yourself energy. So deep breathing, and if you do yoga and singing exercises, if you've been taught in speaking or voice production, you will know the deep breathing exercises, and it's from the diaphragm, and you're breathing in. So you've got to slow it down, and you can't do anything else. So it helps you stay grounded, and it helps you be in the now. And go back and listen to last week's video. I called it Now Wednesday, and that was all about being mindful in the now. Remember, acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings about the trauma, and then accept them. And that's about having emotional intelligence. And I've talked about that in previous videos as well. Remember to get enough sleep. Sleep is very important, but don't get into panic. You know, some people say, oh, you need 8 hours, oh, you need 9, oh, you need... Just try and fit yourself into your own routine. Find a routine for you. And I think one good way is try and go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. But I know that I've dealt with quite a few sort of elderly people. Gloria, I'm an elderly person myself now perhaps, but I've said to them, oh, I couldn't sleep. I said, well, just get up. Get up. Don't lie there going, why can't I sleep? You know, get up, maybe read a book, and just sit in a chair and sort of breathe. You probably doze off, but for others, I would say try and have 7 hours each night, but don't get stressed. if you kind of try and move yourself into a pattern of sleeping, that really does help. And of course, avoid alcohol and drugs. I know that perhaps they have an immediate feel-good factor, but the long-term effect, you really will just feel worse. And eat a balanced diet. Now, try to avoid, of course, overindulging in sugary and fried foods. I've got a problem. I love my chocolate, so I've had to just watch myself, try not to have any in the house. If I've got, I can't, people laugh, but if I'm given a bar of chocolate, I can't have one square. I have to have the whole bar. And there's many people like that. In fact, I let on into a little secret that I think I got a packet of Jaffa cakes and I can't eat just one. I had to have the whole pack, but I dipped them into my hot tea. This is now sounding maybe quite disgusting for some people, but I was telling myself I'm not really having the whole thing because it's only a slight wee bit of jelly and, sponge, but it's not good. So I just don't buy myself a whole pack of biscuits. And above all, believe in yourself. Please believe in yourself. I think what happens is, and it happened to me recently and another friend, if you've been out and about now because lockdown was, some of the restrictions were eased, then you've been getting maybe a text saying you were in such and somebody tested positive. Now, when you get a text like that, it does say if you start to feel symptoms, obviously go and get yourself tested. But I think it's just the way the human brain is wired. If you're told that you've been near somebody or somebody's, maybe you haven't been near them, they've been in the same restaurant. You come home and suddenly, if you've got a slight headache, you think, oh, I wonder if there's something, oh, my throat. Oh, you start imagining a whole lot of things. Now, I'm not saying that you won't get, obviously, if you do have any symptoms, you need to see about it. But sometimes it kind of creates panic, which is a bit sad, and you can get really stressed. But if someone you know is suffering from a trauma, please be patient and have understanding. Don't judge them. So you want to, you mustn't let fear and negative talk and your own self negative talk get in the way. Don't let fear get in your way of anything, and put them into that balloon, my balloon exercise, and send them off packing. Now, the ABC, the affirmations today, I would say are, I live in the present, or I feel good, I am kind to myself and others, I am grateful for. So, maybe write your gratitude list, have a look at that again. And nothing better, take 3 deep breaths. And of course, I'm going to finish with my Mind Bites meditation. I'm going to do the letting go of emotional pain. And this definitely helps you cope. I can't stress enough that I think probably you've found now that my Mind Bites meditations are short, so maybe a couple of minutes. Now, who doesn't have a couple of minutes every day, or when you're feeling stressed and anxious, just to sit for a minute and close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and then do a meditation. So thank you everybody for watching and listening, and these will all be on YouTube. So I'm going to do my letting go of emotional pain meditation. Now again, you need to feel grounded, so you've got to have your feet on the ground, flat on the ground, and sit back upright and try and feel your spine, if you can have your spine sort of stretched but relaxed. Sounds a wee bit, again, the opposites, but you want to feel confident. So you've got the confidence in yourself as well. So I want you now to close your eyes, because this meditation helps you let go of emotional pain. And you can go back to these and listen again, but please close your eyes now. I want you to close your eyes. Now, when you're sitting comfortably, I want you to take 3 deep breaths. In through your nose, hold, and then exhale through your mouth. Now I want you to follow my voice, and I want you to think of something or someone that is hurting or has hurt you. Even if you're not sure of who or what it was that hurt you. But it's something maybe over which you have no control. The only control you have is how to cope with your own feelings. Now the hurt and the emotional pain will be felt somewhere in your body. I want you to take a moment to think where this pain is sitting. Is it in your head, your neck, your heart, your stomach, your shoulders, even your legs? Where do you feel the part in your body that is hurting? Now I want you to give this feeling, this pain, this hurt, a number from 0 to 10. Now 0 is for no pain and 10 is for intense pain. Now take 3 deep breaths in again. We take a deep breath in through the nose, hold, and then exhale. Now take another deep breath in through the nose and feel your breath fill your body. And then exhale. Now the next time you take a deep breath in, I want you to take a moment to feel every part of your body, inside and out. Imagine you can touch every part of your body, inside and out. Breathe in again and feel your body fill with your breath. Focus on your breath. Feel it like a warm energy filling your body. Exhale slowly and feel your breath leave your body. Now when you breathe in again, I want you to send positive thoughts like a smile to the part of your body that was hurting. I want you to say silently to yourself, I let it go. I let it go. Exhale slowly, still sending this positive thoughts, this love and this positive feelings. It's like a smile to every part of your body. Now I want you to slowly open your eyes and silently saying in your head, I let it go. I let it go. Now ask yourself again, what number would you put to this hurt or this pain? Now when you do this exercise, if you do it more than once, you will find that the number will be lower. So if you've started maybe even at a 10, your number now when you do this exercise and you're sending that smile and that love to wherever it hurts in your body, and you're saying, I let it go, the number will be lower. I've managed to get down as low as 2. I'm not sure, depending on what the hurt is, the loss of a loved one, I don't think it might ever reach 0, but it certainly lessens. and 2, even 1, because you're giving yourself the time and the presence to just give yourself love where that pain or hurt is. Now, I do this exercise every time I need to or want to let go of emotional pain. And we all suffer from that. So I hope this helps. I often find that even a couple of minutes, because if you do these exercises or this particular exercise, you can actually do it quite quickly. I can get myself into the mode of just send a smile, send some peace and love to that area that is hurting, and you will feel calmer. And it just takes away the edge of that emotional pain. And of course, remember, virtual hugs to everybody, and remember to smile. A smile costs you nothing, and laughter is the best medicine. Now, you can still catch all my videos. I put them up on YouTube. In fact, I think I've now got them on Blogger and on Pinterest. I've been kind of sharing them out there because I suppose you can try. I would use, I don't expect you, I think we're now on number 85. I wouldn't expect you to look at them all, but it's like you can cast your eyes over perhaps the list of them, and if your eye catches something, might be the way I'm looking or the way I am that day, it's maybe the video you've got or you're supposed to be looking at or listening to that day. And that's kind of randomly. I like this. It's like when I talk about the books, your self-help books, don't read them all from cover to cover. Just randomly choose one, and you will find something that you need to learn about that will help you endure that day. And thank you again, everybody, for watching and listening. And I'm just still doing these weekly. I don't know what after September, I'm not sure, but at the moment it's a Wednesday and it's at 10 o'clock in the morning. And have a fabulous day, everybody. And thank you. Virtual hugs to everybody.